Welcome to How to Homeschool Radio, the show where we help new and veteran homeschoolers create a successful homeschool that works for their families. Whether you're thinking about homeschooling, just started homeschooling, or have been homeschooling for years, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Judy Sardin, homeschooling coach, homeschooling mom of two, and author of Sardin's Practical Guide, How to Start Homeschooling. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Welcome, and I wanted to talk to you today about providing your child with a world-class education. And oftentimes when we think about homeschooling, we don't think in those terms. We're thinking of, helping a child who's behind, or helping a child who's bored because they're so far advanced, or pulling a kid out of a yucky school situation or bullying situation or whatever. Often when we jump into homeschooling, we aren't truly thinking about we are providing our kids. We have the opportunity to provide our kids with a world-class education. So I wanted to talk to you about that today. So when I talk about providing your child with a world-class education, if you look at the big private schools, the independent schools, they tout their rigorous curricula and things like that. They have sports maybe, but typically it's the curricula that's going to get them into the Ivy League university. So let's kind of step back at that and look at that. So with a fancy private school, which a lot of people, when they get tired of the public schools, the first thing that they run to are the private schools. And so let's look at those. So the private schools are in large part, unless you're in Silicon Valley or someplace like that, where they do truly implement a totally different learning style. But for the most part, the independent schools are based on the same kind of instruction modality as your public school. You've got your lecture, you might have some group projects where you work on together, or some things that, they use fancy words to basically describe a group project or independent project. But it's pretty much the same. You're just paying a lot more money for it. Your facilities look nicer. But from a curriculum implementation standpoint, you're talking about the same thing. Okay, so they talk about their high test scores. Well, I can tell you from trying to get my own oldest child into a private elite school back in the day, they elevate, say, the age. So, for example, my son turned 5 in July. No private school would touch him as a true 5-year-old kindergartner. They would only, after April, they wouldn't take any kid whose birthday was after April. So they artificially inflated the age of their school, of their classes. So their kindergartners were doing this advanced work where they should be, because they are actually first grade age. Because they basically told me, come back, he's great, but you need to come back again next year when your son's 6, then he can start kindergarten. And this is without, behavioral evaluation or anything like that. It was just July birthday, school starts in August, not looking at him for kindergarten. And so first off, they artificially inflate the age of their classes. So kids should be working at a higher level because they're actually probably on average older than the kids that are in the average public school. And then secondly, they have a lot of work. Yeah, it's rigorous. They have a ton of work to do. And I say this over and over again, but more work doesn't necessarily equal more education or a greater education just because you have a lot more work to do. So, you can have a ton of busy work to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're learning anything more. It just means you've got less free time and you've got less time to actually pursue outside interests because you're spending all of your time at school. Maybe you have after school stuff, and then you spend the rest of your life doing homework. So, is that providing a better education? I don't know. So let's talk about the kind of world-class education that you can provide with homeschooling. With homeschooling, truly, the possibilities are endless. So let's talk about curriculum delivery. You can deliver a curriculum in myriad ways. You can do your online private school or your online public school where the curriculum implementation is going to be very much like a regular brick and mortar school. But, if you're the parent, you don't really want to fool with getting into any of the teaching or anything like that. You can start; those are options. But the difference is most of those programs, not the public schools, but the online private schools, you can go at your own pace. And so I know people who have children who are elite athletes or who are professional actors, and they will hunker down during the off season and get a complete year's worth of work done during the off season, so that when Broadway's on and when baseball season is on, for example, that's when they're doing 100% focusing on their craft. And so you can do that with a lot of online private schools. So it's not so that's your curriculum delivery. But what about the world class part? Well, first off, those are online, so you can take those courses from anywhere in the world. You can travel. If you have a child who's interested in archaeology, you can spend a summer, or you don't have to wait till the summer. You can go during the early fall when, it's down season. There are enough people there to make it interesting, but it's not super crowded. You can go spend a couple of months or weeks in Greece visiting the archaeological sites. You can find a professor who focuses on, if your kid's into robotics, you can find an engineering professor who will mentor them, and your child can work with that professor, even do help with research. I know a child who's working, 15 years old. He's working with an international community. He's already graduated from high school, and he's already gotten his associate's degree, I believe, at 15. And he is now working with an international community. They're working on a real solution to a real world problem right now at 15. That's not something they would ever be able to do whether they were in a fancy private school, because they've got so much work they have to do. They wouldn't be able to focus on those things that are interests, those things that are passions. And so by homeschooling your kid, by providing them with, following their passions, following their interests, going down rabbit holes, you're not confined to the four walls of the school or the four buildings of the quad. You're not confined to a curriculum. Your child can move as fast and as slowly as they want to, as they need to. And most kids, if a child excels in math and science, it's rare. It happens. That same child is probably not going to also have a passion for language arts and writing. So guess what? We're gonna do what we need to do in language arts and writing so that child can be functional in the real world. But then we are going to spend all of our time and resources following that child's passion, so that because at the end of the day, that's what they're going to end up gravitating towards anyway. And so if you're looking at college admissions, you have kids. I talk to people all the time who are trying to add up their volunteer hours. They're working at the nursing home down the street. They're working at the Humane Society, getting in those hours. But what if? But it's, they might really like it, but that's. By homeschooling, you can explore those passions in so many different ways. You can explore those passions on a world-class level. And so that's just, if you've got a child, like I said, this kid who's working on a real-world solution to a problem. He's working with an international community because this particular problem is something that communities all over the world have to deal with. He's working with, high-level people, professors, things like that. And, his name is, by the time he's applying for, his 4-year, if he wants to get into an Ivy, by the time he applies, he has real-world experience. He's got his name on research papers. That's the kind of world-class education I'm talking about when I'm talking about homeschooling. There are so many things out there, guys, that your kids can get involved in, that they can do that just being required to sit inside the confines of a school building or school campus for 7.5 hours a day, and then having multiple hours of so-called rigorous schoolwork, more homework, why get to do afterwards, on top of trying to fit in activities and the volunteer work. That is a lot. You as a grown person you don't do that. And so, when I'm looking at homeschooling, I'm looking at real world. I'm thinking beyond high school. Okay, I'm looking at real world. What are the possibilities? What is this child more likely to do? Where does this child gravitate? And whatever that child's passion is, wherever they gravitate, we are going to spend so much focus on pursuing those things because that's likely where they're going to go. And it might not even be college folks. It might be a kid who is really, really good with their hands and they really love cars. Okay, so we're going to be taking in high school, we're going to be taking, courses in mechanics at the junior college, at the college. We're going to be getting a certificate in high school. While we're doing high school, we're going to be getting a certificate in those things and we're going to be getting apprenticeships. We're going to, hopefully by the time the kid's done with high school, hopefully, they're now a journeyman. We're going to, when you're designing your homeschool, you've got to think totally outside of the box. You've got to think about, times are changing. Not everybody's going to go to college, but everybody has something that they love. Everybody has something that they're into. And if we can nurture and help those kids to follow those passions, they're going to be happier, they're going to work harder, they're going to remember stuff, and we prepare them for the real world. And so those are the kinds of things that you can do in homeschooling. So I wanted to share with you my new coaching programs that I have just rolled out, and I'm really excited about it. Every elite athlete has a coach. And the people who are at the top of their game in business area, whether it's a business owner, a CEO, president of company, all those people have coaches. And one of the things that some homeschool parents think is that they have to jump out there alone. But guess what? If you're really, really ready to provide that truly world-class education for your child, if you're really ready to operate at the highest levels, then you need a coach, you need a mentor. And so I'm really excited to be bringing this awesome opportunity to parents who are really thinking about how they can provide this truly world-class education to their kids. So with my group coaching program, which you can find out about at www.judysarden.com/group homeschool coaching. With this program, you have every week, we will have live Zoom calls. So these are video calls. You can hop on. I'll provide a brief homeschool training. I might have a guest lecturer come on, and then you can ask questions at the end of it. So, you can ask questions live, and whatever you've got going on, we can talk about it because, you can plan and then things happen. And so it's always nice to have someone you can bounce that off of. And so every single week, except for holiday weeks, we'll be having these live calls with the group members. In addition to that, you'll get monthly PDF downloads. These will be checklists for you to help keep you organized and things like that. You'll also have access to the Facebook group where, you can ask questions live. And, it's one thing to be a member of 1 or 2 or 10 different homeschool support groups. And, you have a question, you kind of put it out there and hope someone replies. It's an altogether different thing knowing that you've got somebody every time that it's going to reply to your specific question. And they're going to bring their expertise. And if they can't answer your question, they'll find that expert for you. And so, having that kind of support week after week after week can make a difference in your homeschool. Elite athletes have these coaches every single day. Business owners, business executives, they have these coaches that help them every day, every week, every month so that they can perform at the top of their game. And so, this is kind of a novel thing for the homeschool world. So I'm excited to be bringing this. So with the group coaching program, it's, weekly trainings, it's Q&As, it's your PDFs, and just having some place where you're going to get an answer, you're going to get help either from me, from another expert, or from another, parent in the community. And it's an awesome support mechanism for people who are truly trying to provide a world-class education for their child. Okay. I also have private one-on-one coaching. And, if you're of the mindset, you know what? I don't want to quit my job, or I like the idea of providing a world-class education, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't want to do it, whatever. You don't have to. For the group coaching program, you can sign your nanny, you can sign your tutor up for that program. For individual one-on-one program, if you've got a nanny or a tutor or some other household staff or someone else you've provided that is going to be providing the education for your child, you can sign that person up and I will work with that person. So, it's there, guys. It's there. I'm providing this awesome service that I'm really excited about so that more people can have access to providing their children with this. And you don't have, I take the guesswork out of it. I take the months or the years of trying to build up and trying to figure it out. By having the homeschool coaching, by having a mentor, having somebody in your corner week after week, that will make all the difference. So if you're interested in the private one-on-one coaching, and both programs are 6 months, because I found that in order for clients to truly see results, a shorter time period, it's highly unlikely that they'll see the results that they are looking for in anything less than 6 months. So it's a 6-month commitment. And at the end of that 6 months, if you want to continue, obviously we can, but we have to really focus in on that 6-month time period so that you can truly see results. Working with you a day or a week it's just not enough. Meeting with you 1 or 2 times is just not enough. And so to help you truly see the results, to truly map out the education plan that you want for your child, to troubleshoot as you go along the way, because there'll always be things to troubleshoot. So if you're interested in the one-on-one, email me at sardenquestions@gmail.com. That's SARDEN questions, that's one word, at gmail.com. And I hope to see you soon. Hey, one more thing before you go. As a valued member of How to Homeschool Radio, I want to help you and hear from you not only when you're listening to the show, but all day, every day. I have a new Facebook group called How to Homeschool, and it's a place where you can get together with other homeschooling families to get support, offer support, and interact real-time to homeschooling issues that are most important to you. If you want to be a part of this growing community, see the latest videos, and get live answers to your homeschooling questions, go to judysarden.com/homeschool podcast. Or you can just hop onto Facebook and search for How to Homeschool under groups. Drop me a note to let me know when you join. I can't wait to see you there.